Hello, and welcome to the turbulent world with me, James M. Dorsey, as your host. A touted potential future post war governor of Gaza, Samir Hulile, is betting on U.S., Israeli, and Gulf backing and Palestinian desperation for an end to Israel's senseless daily killing of tens of Gazans, many as they scrape for food or seek to escape attacks in advance of an Israeli takeover of Gaza City. Mr. Hulila's candidacy suggests that Israel has failed to persuade Gaza clan and tribal leaders, many of whom oppose Hamas, to serve in a role designed to circumvent both Hamas and the West Bank based internationally recognized Palestine Authority. Israel and much of the international community insist that Hamas cannot play a role in shaping Gaza or Palestine's future because of its October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, which killed some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and sparked the Gaza war. Hamas has long conceded that it will not be part of any future administration of Gaza. Even so, Hamas's role is as far as Israel and the international community's meeting of the mind goes. Contrary to the international community, Israel seeks to squash Palestinian national aspirations while maintaining that there is no place for the Palestine Authority in Gaza's future. Israel's rejection of the authority is one reason why Gaza ceasefire talks are faltering. The authority was established as part of the 1993 Oslo Accords as a precursor for an independent Palestinian state. Any potential future Palestinian administrator who doesn't have at least a tacit endorsement by the authority, if not also Hamas, is likely to have a target on his back. In recent interviews with Arab, Israeli, and Middle Eastern media, Mr. Hulile, a West Bank based businessman, economist, and former Palestine Authority advisor, claims that the administration of former U.S. President Joe Biden endorsed his candidacy. It's unclear whether the Trump administration, which has backed Israel's effort to throw Palestinian national aspirations into the dustbin of history, is equally in favor of Mr. Hulile. Mr. Hulile put himself forward amid a reported shifting of gears in the Trump administration's strategy in Gaza ceasefire talks. Rather than gunning for a temporary ceasefire and the phased release of 50 Hamas-held hostages abducted during the October 7 attack, the administration is seeking the freeing of all the captives in one go and an end to the war. Hamas has repeatedly said it would release the hostages in one go if Israel agrees to end the war and withdraw from Gaza. As part of the U.S. proposed deal, post-war Gaza would be administered by a single governor acceptable to Israel and the United States. Mr. Hulile said he would agree to the governorship if it involved a permanent ceasefire, an agreement on Gaza's borders and buffer zones, and Gulf funding for reconstruction. Mr. Hulile asserted that Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan were discussing his candidacy with the Trump administration. That didn't stop the Palestine Authority from condemning Mr. Hulile's candidacy as disgraceful and an attempt to circumvent the authority's rejection of separating Gaza from the West Bank as part of an Israeli scheme. In a statement, Palestine President Mahmoud Abbas's office called on Mr. Hulile to stop spreading lies and attempting to cover up his shameful position. Controversial Israeli-Canadian lobbyist, political strategist, and arms broker Ari Ben Menashe, a former Israeli military intelligence operative, has been promoting Mr. Hulile's candidacy in Washington's corridors of power. Militia leaders, despots, renegade generals, presidents, revolutionaries, and warlords largely populate Mr. Menashe's client list. The Palestinian Authority, in line with a plan for Gaza adopted by an Arab summit earlier this year, has called for a technocratic committee to govern Gaza under its auspices for 6 months. The committee would preserve Gaza's status as part of a future Palestinian state. The new kid on the block, Mr. Hulile, joins as a potential candidate to head a post-war administration of the Strip Mahmoud Dahlan, a United Arab Emirates-backed former al-Fatah security chief who hails from Gaza, and Nasser al-Kidwa, a Dahlan associate, former Palestinian foreign minister, and nephew of Yasser Arafat, the Palestinian resistance's historic leader. Expelled from Mr. Abbas's al-Fatah movement and charged with corruption by the authority, Mr. Dahlan enjoys good relations with Israel and the United States. He has maintained ties to Hamas, despite having been defeated when the group took control of Gaza in 2007 after a bloody conflict with al-Fatah. With his candidacy, Mr. Hulile is likely banking on the fact that Hamas's popularity in Gaza has hit rock bottom, as has the authorities' support in the Strip, as well as the West Bank. Mr. Hulile and his backers were likely encouraged by a recent Saudi opinion poll showing 56% of those surveyed wanted Hamas to agree to a two-state resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, as opposed to only 16% in 2023. The businessman and his supporters were presumably also heartened by the increasing number favoring stepped-up Arab involvement in Israeli-Palestinian peacemaking. 88% of those surveyed wanted Arab states to offer the parties incentives, presumably for reconstruction of Gaza, compared to 75% in 2023. In the same vein, the number of Saudis viewing Hamas as harming rather than advancing Palestinian interests rose from 40% in 2023 to 56% in an earlier survey. Even so, the poll suggested that Saudi public support for a two-state solution has slipped slightly over the last decade, from 61% in 2014 to 59% this year, while endorsement of diplomatic relations with Israel dropped from 20% in 2023 to 13% in the latest poll. The slip stroked with a hardening of public opinion elsewhere in the Muslim world against a compromise that would see the creation of a Palestinian state alongside Israel, as advocated by an overwhelming majority of the international community. Israel and the United States may be grasping at straws. Yet, Mr. Hulile's name doing the rounds may be part of an effort to advance universally condemned Israeli policies, including the depopulation of Gaza, even if the businessman has not endorsed them. With countries like Indonesia, Somalia, Somaliland, Uganda, Libya, and Ethiopia denying that they had discussed accepting Palestinians opting to leave Gaza because Israel had ensured that it was uninhabitable, Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Askel traveled this week to South Sudan, for talks widely believed to have focused on the resettlement of Gazans. The South Sudanese Foreign Ministry denied that Mrs. Haskel and Foreign Minister Samaya Kumba had discussed the issue. Mr. Kumba visited Israel in July for talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Controversially, Mr. Kumba also reportedly traveled to the occupied West Bank for a meeting with Israeli settlers. South Sudan's engagement with Israel is designed to curry favor with the Trump administration, although it is hard to imagine that the struggling state would want to provoke the ire of the Arab and Muslim world by agreeing to help Israel depopulate Gaza. Cynically, Israel is wooing countries in the global south with little success. In contrast, Gazans who emigrate to Western countries, including Canada and France, are held accountable for alleged misdeeds by individual members of their community. Posting on X, Eyal Yacobi, a 23-year-old student dedicated to combating anti Americanism, highlighted an incident in which a confused man entered a Jewish business in Montreal and threatened to kill you one by one. Mr. Yacobi used the incident to note Canada gave 5,000 visas to Palestinians from Gaza in the past year. This is what they're importing. Earlier this month, France froze the immigration of Gazans after authorities accused a 25-year-old Palestinian student of making anti-Semitic remarks online. Sciences Po Lille, the student's university, withdrew her accreditation. She was ordered to leave France. French Interior Minister Bruno Retalier said Palestinians allowed into France under a program for Gazans who do not enjoy United Nations protection would be subject to a new check following failures that brought this young woman here. Influential conspiracy theorist and Islamophobe Laura Loomer prided herself on X for getting the Trump administration to halt the entry into the United States of Gazans, including children, for medical treatment. This is fantastic news. Thank you, Secretary Rubio, for your prompt response to this invasion of our country by NGOs that have been accused of being pro-Hamas. Hopefully, all Gazans will be added to President Trump's travel ban, Mrs. Loomer said. Mrs. Loomer added that there are doctors in other countries. The U.S. is not the world's hospital. Thank you for joining me today. The rise of artificial intelligence magnifies the importance of journalists with true expertise, top-notch sourcing, and historical depth. These journalists, like me, tell and analyze in-depth stories. Their goal is to enhance their readers' and listeners' ability to form informed opinions of their own. We don't just chronicle events. Our reporting and analysis are shaped by years of on-the-ground coverage, expertise, and historical knowledge. In my case, I have covered geopolitics, the Middle East, and the Muslim world for decades, having been based in multiple countries, including Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE, Lebanon, Kuwait, and Turkey. Hard-hitting reporting and analysis that lets the chips fall where they may is even more critical in a world of brutal wars, unimaginable humanitarian crises, and increasing authoritarianism. That is the turbulent world with James M. Dorsey's mission since its inception 15 years ago. Thousands worldwide are avid readers and listeners of the turbulent world. Join them in helping to maintain and expand the column and podcast by becoming a paid subscriber. You can contribute by visiting jamesmdorsey.substack.com and choosing one of the subscription options. Thank you for your support and loyalty. Take care and see you soon.